Welcome to your weekly UAS news update, the place where you don't get your news 2 weeks late. This is the week of February 21st, 2022, and we have 4 stories this week. The first one is DJI coming up with potentially a new remote controller. This should be interesting. We have Autel that's coming up with fixes to their Nano and their Lite series of drones that just came out recently. We have a Mavic 2 that crashed into a helicopter. This is a bit of an old news, but some information surfaced recently, so we'll talk about that. And then lastly, Litchi is updating their software to add the Air 2S and the Mini 2 and hopefully eventually the Mavic 3. So we'll talk about that. Let's get to it. All right, the first story this week is DJI coming up with this potentially a new RC Plus remote controller. Obviously, all of this information usually comes from FCC filings. So DJI has to file something with the FCC when they create a new product. And so a new FCC filing suggests that DJI is looking to release a new transmitter. And this is called the RC Plus, it looks like, which could be an intermediate between the RC Pro, which is the new controller that they've had, and then the RC N1, which is the typical controller that comes with your drone. We're not sure if this new controller is going to have a screen or not. That wasn't in the FCC filing, but this could also be a new indication of a new drone that's coming up. So that's always cool. We know that there's a rumor Mini 3 and also a rumor Inspire 3. So head over to our friends at Drone Excel to get more information about this specific story. All right, the next story this week is Autel is coming up with a Nano firmware update, and this has been kind of expected from a lot of people. There's been some a bumpy road, I would say, with the Nano. We actually just received ours in the studio this week, and we're pretty excited to go fly. Unfortunately, it's been snowing, so we haven't really been able to get out there. The firmware update is going to add quite a few things, 24, 25, 48, and 50 frame per second videos in there. There was a major Jello issue that was reported, so that's going to be corrected with this new update. There's also manual focus that was added, some customizable timestamps that you can put on the videos, and then speed and video priority modes. And then lastly, the Nano Plus and the Nano are getting a new high photo resolution, which is 8192 for the Nano Plus and then 8000 for the Nano, the regular Nano. So that's kind of interesting. Obviously, Autel is trying to produce the best possible drone they can. They had issues along the way, but they are using firmware updates to make these changes, so that's good news. All right, this is a bit of old news, and usually we don't talk about old news, but it's going to resurface recently. There was a story about an aircraft, a Mavic 2, that crashed into a helicopter. This was in February of 2020, and the aircraft, the two aircraft, I should say, collided with each other during the King of Hammers off-road race in California. Luckily, there was no injuries reported, but the NTSB said that the probable cause of the crash was a failure of the small unmanned aircraft remote pilot to give way to the helicopter, which resulted in an in-flight collision. You can see from the video that the helicopter kind of disappear for a second, and then all of a sudden comes back and just hits the UAS on the side and makes it fall to the ground. I think this is interesting. This is obviously kind of I'm not going to call it a close set because it's not a close set, but this is a race where the two should have talked. There should have been a briefing, and they should have known where everybody is at all time. There's also information to the fact that the UAS pilot did not have a visual observer with them when they were flying. So a whole lot to be learned from this. We actually are getting ready to create content related to these collisions with helicopters, so more information coming up on that very soon. The next thing is Litchi, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about this week, is adding the Air 2S and the Mini 2 to their software. Also the Mini SE, by the way. Litchi says that they will eventually support the Mavic 3 as soon as the SDK is released by DJI, which unfortunately could be a little bit of time. I think DJI said this was going to be this summer, but who knows when this will happen. At the moment, this is only an Android operating system update. They are expecting to release the iOS update sometimes in March or the first week of April. So again, for more information, head over to Drone Excel, get that information in there, and then read the article. So that's it. That's all I have for you this week. As always, like, subscribe, leave your comments. You know, we leave the comments on our videos and like some other places online, and we love interacting with you. So we'll see you next week.